everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do 4 DIY Dollar Tree spring door decors, totally inspired by Country Living magazine. I got my April issue of Country Living magazine, and on the digital website they had these wreaths, which I thought were gorgeous for the springtime, and we can make them with Dollar Tree products. If you don't have a green wreath form, which I recommend, small wreath form, gingham ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I've got 3 green and 1 orange. I only use 1 green for this small wreath form, but if you get the green one, you probably need 2. Mini bag of carrots, as well as some Easter grass. The inspiration has sort of that paper shreds on it. I had this left over from last year. It's not from the Dollar Tree, but the Dollar Tree does sell them. Okay? And basically what you're just going to do is we're going to wrap this wreath with ribbon. The way we started on a wire wreath form is we glue to the wire, but we also glue the ribbon to itself. Now the inspiration piece had the ribbon sort of on an angle, almost like a candy cane. I actually prefer it straight on just because of the gingham. I don't prefer it, but I liked it better. So what I'm doing is I'm making it sort of angular on the back side, but straight on the front side. And if you have a green wreath form, that will happen naturally, and you can decide once you're done, do you want it angularly or do you want it straight? And what I mean by that is that the ribbon almost goes perpendicular to the wires, if that makes any sense, okay? So I have that whole thing wrapped, and now we're going to go ahead and add just a tiny bit of the grass. So this Easter grass I got with some baskets that I got on clearance last year. Oh, sorry, I did need to supplement with a little bit of ribbon. Because this is very close to the size of the green wreath form, but it is a lot thinner, you will probably need 2 whole not grosgrain ribbon, the gingham ribbon. Well, it is grosgrain, but anyway, from the Dollar Tree. Okay. Now, the Easter grass that I'm using, like I said, was I got 4 little baskets, chicken wire baskets, and this came free with it. So I had it. You guys have been telling me for a long time, just use what I have, use what I have. So I'm trying to. I could have very easily run out and gotten a green wreath form because the inspiration definitely, you can tell, is a green wreath form or something like it. But I wanted to use what I had, and I had these on hand. I did try to use like a willow wreath form, not like the grapevine ones, but the kind of ones that are like light colored natural. And it just, the ribbon just didn't sit straight. So it was this or nothing. So I'm just picking out some of the green grass because the inspiration had green grass. And though carrots are associated with rabbits normally, and then they're associated with Easter, they're also associated with spring. It's about time for planting. Just things are coming to life again. The greens, the oranges, the flowers, tiger lilies, they're all happening now. And I just thought that this was so precious. All of these wreaths, I believe, were spring/Easter. They possibly could have been Easter, but they were under spring. And this magazine is the April issue, so it didn't really come out early enough for getting these done before, like at the beginning of spring. Well, I guess the beginning of spring, but when everybody on YouTube does their spring DIYs. So now we're just going to glue the carrots down just like the inspiration piece had, like in off-centered, laying on top of each other. And now we're going to make a bow. I'm going to make this bow kind of like, I didn't know what I was going to do at first, to be honest. So I was like, do I make the loops this way and then the loops this way and then overlap them and then tie the thing? You know, there is like 60 techniques of how to make a bow. There is not one technique, but we have done lots of different ones on our channel, and you'll see we do more in the end of this video too. So I'm just taking 2 sets of loops, almost in like the awareness ribbon shape, and then when you close the loop down onto itself where the ribbon crosses over, I'm going to take 2 of those and overlap them, and then I'm going to take one of the tails and I'm going to tie it, the longest of the 2 tails, and I'm going to tie it around the middle and then have it come out. And that's it. And then I'm going to dovetail it like I like to do, but you don't have to do that if you want to. The inspiration piece was dovetailed, and I tried to always match the inspiration piece. Now, this was hanging from this really pretty orange ribbon, so I just glued it straight onto the orange ribbon, and I hung it from that, and that was it. And I think it was so simple. I love the fact that these are all very simple. They use leftover products from, like, you might have laying around your house, or you might have leftover from Easter, which I really do love. Okay. And this is how this one turned out. Like I said, I really think it's so cute. It's so fresh and springy. You could totally hang it in your bunny's cage if you have one, or just in your kitchen would be cute too. The second one that I wanted to do was this beautiful bucket of flowers. You could switch this out for any holiday season, but of course they have spring flowers in it. So I have gotten a bunch of spring flowers out, and then I got this bucket from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to also use some green floral foam, and as well as hot glue, and then a little piece of jute to basically hang it from. The first thing I wanted to do, and I was trying to match the color easily, because what I really thought would be the coolest thing is if we cut the black rings off of this bucket and basically replace the slats with some thick, like wood. I'm thinking like the big popsicle sticks, or even Dollar Tree has those nice wood sheets out now. But I decided just to go over it with paint, just to lighten it up a little bit. I didn't lighten it up tons. It ended up only lightening up a little bit because I went over with, this is, I think it's called Cashew. I don't remember exactly the name of this Waverly chalk paint. But what I've tried to do is try to go sideways. I kind of tried to make a really dry brush, just get over like the edges, because it's got a really wood grain, defined wood grain in it, but the wood grain wasn't as deep in some areas, so then it was just filling it with paint and I was losing the effect altogether. So I just said, you know what, just go in with some light paint, and then we'll go ahead back over it with the antiquing wax, and we'll try to fill in wherever we can with the antiquing wax. You don't have to do this. You could skip this step entirely. This bucket is just cute the way it is. I just thought that painting it would also take away that shine, that plastic shine. You know, chalk paint does have a more matte finish, a little bit more along the lines of wood. And the stain, of course, the antique wax does give it that stained effect. So it did change that appearance, if anything, you know. But you could skip this step, like I said, if you want to. Now, let that dry just a few minutes while I get out the wax. And then we're going to use a different brush, obviously. And we're going to start with the first plank that we painted. We're not really taking too much time for it to dry. I also have a wet wipe that has barely any liquid in it. I've let them dry out a little bit. And I like to use these, as you've seen before in the past, to like take the extra wax off right away, just like when I do with stain. So I'm just taking a soft brush, a soft bristle brush. I'm putting the wax on, making sure it gets in the crevices. And then I'm brushing either against the grain or very, very lightly with the grain to make sure that I leave the wax in the indents and not and expose some of that white paint that'll now turn a little bit woodsy color. Like I said, it doesn't make a very drastic difference from the purchase spot, but it does make a little bit of difference. But I wanted to keep it easy. I 100% have another one of these buckets, and I totally want to Frankenstein it. I totally want to Frankenstein it, because I kind of wish the bucket was wood above that second ring, that top ring, like the inspiration piece. But you know what? It's all good with me. Now, we're going to hang it, and we're going to hang it just with a piece of jute. I was kind of trying to contemplate, like, how exactly did I want this to hang. I wanted to hang it properly so that it wouldn't, like, tilt forward with the weight of the flowers. So what I've done is I've taken my favorite utility knife, very, very carefully. I've picked two spots on the, basically I picked the prettiest side to go front, and on the back of it, I picked two sides about 3 slats away from each other. And I'm creating like an X with the utility knife just to loosen up the plastic and mark exactly where I want the holes to go. And I'm just going to poke 2 holes. I'm actually going to end up using my scissor. I have this little Westhoff scissor that I got at, or Westhoff, I always forget the name of that company, that they sell at the Dollar Tree. It's a very sharp, pointy scissor. I kind of like it for burring holes. And then I'm going to go back in with my bigger Dollar Tree garden scissor just to make the holes a little bit bigger and a little bit easier to get some jute through. And then I'm just going to string jute. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in one hole, put it in both holes, put the ends in both holes, and tie it in the inside. I want to tie it really tight, because if you take the slack out of the string, that will keep it from flopping over as well. If you make it too much slack in when hanging it, it has an opportunity to move. So you want to just, and especially if you're going to put it on your door and you're going to open and close your door. Okay. So now I'm putting in just a bunch of floral foam. This is actually all wet foam. It's just dry. I know that that sounds dumb and contradictory, but you know what I'm saying. It's the foam that you would wet to put live flowers in. But I just have scraps. I keep scraps in a bag for just such an occasion. And then I ended up, I'm like, Jerry, you have to glue this down because I stuck the first flower in and it pulled the foam right back out. So I glued some of it down just with a little bit of hot glue. And then I just started arranging the flowers. I have Dollar Tree flowers, and there is one bouquet that I got from Walmart that I really, really loved. It's these pink little like bunch of flowers. I don't even know what they are. I'm not sure. They look like little bunches of hydrangea, but I don't think they are, and it doesn't have its sticker anymore because that's how old it is. But I just love the pink tallness and a different shape. But I basically have some roses, some, yep, they just left. The words just left me. Ranunculus. It's one of those words. I don't know that I'm saying it right, but that's what it looks like it says. So it's like ranunculus. I got some from in the spring peach color, and then I got some in the red ends with the pink in the middle, and as well as the roses. I got roses to match, and then I also have some purples because the inspiration piece just had a bunch of different colors. You go with what colors you have, what colors you love. It's supposed to be spring flowers, so you're supposed to be able to put it in wherever you want. So just do what makes you happy. I'm trying to put the tall ones in the back just to give it a little bit more balance visually and physically, by having more lean up against the door. It just makes it that much more sturdy. And you can see I'm just trying to make sure that I have a balance of pink and purple and peach, and just to have it all rearranged. I have taken some leaves off of some flowers to stick in later just to add a little extra leafing. I like that. Normally when we do a flower arrangement, if you've been around for a while, you know, we always put the base greenery down first. But this is just flowers. This isn't a flower arrangement. There is not really any greens. I just, like I'm saying, took some greens off of these flowers and just to relocate them because they were getting lost. Okay? And just like I said, rearrange it, play with it until you're happy with the arrangement. And that's what I ended up doing because I ended up moving purples and purples. The other thing that I took was some of these, they're called German status, pink German status, and then some like a larkspur, purple larkspur from the Dollar Tree. Just different shapes of the same colors of flowers. Again, the inspiration piece had yellow and orange, so do whatever makes your heart happy. I just wanted to do this. This is a grouping and arrangement that I really care about. I really like these colors. They go really well with my guest room, so that's why I really like it. Okay, and that's it. And this is how it looks hanging on the door. It hangs perfectly. I love the way it turned out. Again, not like the inspiration piece in a certain way. Now this one we knew we were going to do. It's a hula hoop wreath, black and white ribbon and tulips, quote unquote. They called it a tulip wreath, but unless that's a huge wreath, those are definitely crocuses. So we're going to use Dollar Tree crocuses, black and white check ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and this is a 20-inch hula hoop. I'm leaving the beads in the hula hoop, and I'm not removing the silver foil. You can if you want to. This black and white check ribbon is sort of sheer in the white areas, but you really can't see the glitter. The one that I have is silver. I purposely picked these really light colored tones, but I left the beads in there on purpose because it kind of gives a little bit more balance to the flowers, because the flowers end up being like 12 on one side and 6 on the other, like the inspiration piece. So I am wrapping this in the black and white. This one is actually from Halloween. It's the black and white buffalo check ribbon that they started carrying this last year. And I'm putting it on an angle where like the wire is almost going to go over the wire. I know that sounds crazy, and it's almost straight against, like, I don't even know how to describe it. As you can see what I'm doing here, it's almost going straight on the, like, hugging the hoop. It's kind of amazing. And just overlapping the wire, and it just came out really cute. It did come out really cute. And like I said, they do have tulips. You can use tulips, but the scale of that wreath from the inspiration, those were definitely crocuses on a small wreath form or really small tulips on a big giant wreath form. So I decided to use these crocuses. Now the inspiration had 3 different colors. I only own 2 different color crocuses, and that's what we got. So I have pink and purple, I believe, and or pink and hotter pink. I'm not really sure. But I ended up having some of the ribbon left over, and I was kind of like, I'll show you guys a couple of ways that you might be able to use it towards the end, okay? Now, good side, bad side, you decide, flip it over or decide, because you can always cover your glue seam with flowers, so that you just decide on your own. Now, normally I don't cut my flowers like this. I'll either pop them off, just the flower just off, or I'll use the whole wire and pull it off, whatever. But this time I decided to cut them. The way they have them overlapped, I just thought it was best. This is definitely a wreath that we're not going to be disassembling anytime soon. Okay? So like I mentioned, I have purple and I have pink, and I believe I have 9 of each. I have a full and a half bouquet of each color. Now these crocuses did come in other colors. I have had these since last spring, but I only picked up pink and purple. I didn't pick up any white, and I didn't pick up any of the yellow that they had last year. Now I love crocuses because I used to go and photograph them. They just are such a happy little color, a happy little flower. But they just make my heart happy. They make me think of my friend Bobby, and I miss him very much. Okay? Now some of the leaves, we're leaving all the leaves on there for now, but as we place them, we're going to take some off. If you don't like the way the extra leaves look, then you can take them all off entirely. But we're going to actually use the leaves a little bit to our advantage. Now, each one of these crocuses have 3 long buds. What are they called? Like perennial type leaves. Not all perennials have them, but I guess they do. I don't know. But anyway, so like the long kind of leaves. So what I've decided to do was to assist in keeping the flower on the hoop while it's drying. I know that sounds silly, but I'm actually gluing the crocus to the inside of the leaf that looks the prettiest. And then if I have to, can't lay the other 2 down, I'll cut one off. And then you're just laying them one this way, one that way, one this way, that one that way. Now the original inspiration piece, like I said, had 3 colors. So it didn't create a pattern because, it would be like, what was it? Red, pink, white, red, pink, white. And like the white wasn't always on the left or on the outside or the inside. So I decided to just do purple, pink, pink, purple, purple. Like, you know what I mean? Like make them a back and forth. Just do what makes your heart happy. Okay? Now that is where I thought I was finished. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not finished. We're putting, like I said, we're putting 12 on one side, on the long side, and 6 on the other. The other thing I loved about the inspiration piece is all of the crocuses were facing the same direction. They weren't all facing up. So it wasn't, basically the ones on the left, say the ones on the left point down and the ones on the right point up, or you could do it vice versa. It's up to you entirely. I just like the way that they hang down. That's what I really liked about it. Now, we're not going to add a hanger to this. I have these small quick release hooks on my door that actually hold this ribbon perfectly. But you could do some jute or glue a hanger to it, or you can get like a wreath hanger from the Dollar Tree that goes over the door, and that will hold this hula hoop just perfect. So you can see here as I'm cutting some of the leaves off. And once I glue the leaf to the crocus, then I can take a couple of sections and really cut them really close. Basically not leaving a long stem. And the reason you want to do that is the last one in the row, you basically want to not have a bunch of green stuff hanging off. Now, I will tell you that a way to cover that up, if you do decide to do that, is you can take a piece of the ribbon, match the pattern, and just go over it, because there is extra ribbon like I mentioned, okay? I decided not to do that. I just cut the end to look clean, and I think it looks really cute. So I'm just going to do it a little slower here just to show you what I'm talking about. I just take one of the leaves and I glue it to the back of the crocus. And then I decide if their leaves in the front aren't sitting nice, I'll go ahead and cut one off. But this one is the end, and we're going to cut that wire completely off just to the bottom of the leaves. And then we're going to go ahead and just glue it down. You can decide after you glue it down, like, oh, that leaf is in the way, so we're going to cut that leaf off. And it's fine. It really is. But that's it. And I love the way this one came out. It's probably my favorite. I'm not allowed to have favorites. But then this one was an egg wreath. Of course, it does have a very Easter feel, but there's a couple of different options we'll talk about here, but I just really loved it. So what we're going to use is, I'm showing you that you can either use the grapevine wreath or this like grassy one that I really love. I think they're calling it bamboo. I'm not really sure. And then we're going to use some skewers, some moss, some white flowers, just all kinds of things just to mimic it. Now the ribbon that I did choose is an Easter ribbon, but I love the way the colors went with this wreath. I do wish I had a light blue background ribbon in a 2-inch, because I totally would have chosen that, because that is really one of the things that I loved about this wreath to begin with. Now, we're going to use these flowers that were on bouquet. These flowers? Sure they are. No, they're not. They're eggs that were on bouquets. They're styrofoam, and I am just taking the eggs and rubbing them against each other to get off this like really shiny mylar type of glitter that was on it. It was very three-dimensional. But stick with me, because I'll tell you something. I sat there and I tried to get that big fat glitter off of all of those eggs. And then when I started to paint the yellow ones, as they got wet, it fell off. And I said, light bulb, Megan, thank you. I'm such a dopus from Glue Guns and Roses, washes the glitter off of her reindeers. I don't know why I didn't think about that. So when I started to paint it, the paint was actually removing the glitter. So then afterwards, I took them all to the sink. Actually, I took 2 of them to the sink, and I was like, I don't want all this plastic washing down my sink. So then I created a bucket of soapy water. It's out of order from the story that I'm telling you, because obviously after I start painting it. But I just couldn't believe it. And some of it wasn't coming off. I will tell you right now. Some of it came off very easily. Some of it didn't. But I'm glad I was able to get most of what I could. So I wanted to create pastels. I will tell you the truth, really wanted to create neutrals. But I do so many things in neutral for you guys. And I feel like spring is just not the time to do neutrals. But I figured if I wanted to keep this out all year, it would look really great if they were neutral colored eggs. Like beige, white, a little bit of brown with a little bit of speckling in them. And had sort of a black and white bow or a burlap bow. Excuse me. Or a burlap bow. But I didn't. So I took some of this Waverly chalk paint in whatever color this is. I keep wanting to think it's sheetrock, but I know it's not sheetrock. Plasterboard? It could be plaster. I don't know. But anyway, I added a little orange to it just to give it more of a yellow tint. The yellow that they had in the inspiration piece was just a tiny bit bright for me. So I went ahead and I did this instead. But with all the other colors, I've just taken red, blue, and white. I've taken red and blue and mixed them together to make purple. And then I've taken the purple and I've mixed it with section. Sure I did. I took the purple and I mixed it with its section of white to create a beautiful lavender. Now the lavender that I picked is almost spot on to the lavender that was already on this egg. But you can see that this did not take the glitter off. The purple was not coming off. That's all I have to say about that. But I tried. Basically, I'm making sure that I get the bottom where the stick is, the tops, the edge. As long as you have one good side, really 3 good sides, it's okay because you're going to glue this down anyway. What I have here is I have, I think 2 of each purples, 2 of each pinks, 3 yellow big ones and 2 yellow small ones. And then I think like there's 3 of something else. There might be 3 purples. I might take that back. Might be 3 purples here. But as you can see, I'm painting my purples first, and the glitter is not coming off of these purples like it did off or will off of the yellow and some of the other colors. But I'm glad that I was able to do that and get that out of the way. Now this is the moment where I had a haha moment. I wanted to show you, instead of using like the sticks that I had, you could use old flower arrangements, but this is about the point where I realized that the glitter is coming off and I should just go try and wash these eggs. And I did, and glitter came off and they were perfect. And if I had not needed to paint them, or I liked the yellow, I would have just left it. But I tried to get the glitter off the other ones and they just didn't come off as well. Now the pink came off better than the blue, but like I said, even paint wasn't taking the purple off, so I wasn't worried about it. Now I painted these. It's really funny because on the camera and in real life I kind of look like I was painting them pink, even though it wasn't pink. It was more of a yellowy sun yellow, kind of a muted gold, but compared to that bright yellow that they were, you could tell the difference. Okay, Now I mixed that paint. I knew I had more yellow flowers, so I wanted to mix that paint in a lid of a jar and make a mess, of course. Because that's why we keep the wipes around. So I went ahead and I put all of the white over where the purple was, because I knew I wanted to mix this light blue and the purple wasn't going to really diminish it. There was really almost no paint left in my tray. I used just like every drop of the lavender that was left. And because the light blue that I'm using is a little bit more towards robin's egg than the one that was there, is a little bit more towards like the aqua kind of color. It does look purple. It was really weird when I was painting and I was like, oh my gosh, purple got in this paint. But I'm like, purple did not get in this paint. Yeah, that's what happened. So the color that I'm mixing this with is actually called Sky Nighttime Blue. Night Sky. That's what it's called. Night Sky. And it's from Apple Barrel. And I love it because it's sort of a wedgy dark navy blue. Like it's a wedgy colored navy blue. Like a country navy, if that makes any sense. And then I'm going to paint all of these blue ones blue. And I'm going to put them off on their respective jars to dry. Now, I did want to move all of the blue onto where the lavender was because I wanted to use the cup where the white was that I mixed for the blue. Because I knew I was going to need two to do the pink. Just because you kind of need like to add most of your paint over to get the shade that you like, because in case you over darken it. But I realized that I really needed to make it a much darker pink than I was. I was kind of making it really pale, and it almost looked like the ivory yellow color that we mixed for the yellows. So I wanted to make sure that it was a little bit different. So I added more red. And this is crimson chalk paint from Waverly as well. Okay. And then they kept falling off the skewers. So when you put them on the skewers, just give them a really good push up there. If they make a new hole, it's not a big deal. We're not using these. They don't have to stay on the skewers permanently. We're gluing them to a wreath. So no biggie, squiggy. Now I want to let you know, because I've talked about the big eggs plenty of times, but this chalk paint covers a glitter on the small eggs perfectly. You can't even tell that they were ever glittered eggs to begin with. And actually, I tell you the truth, now that it's done, I like the texture on a couple of the eggs. A couple of the eggs still have like little texture on it, and I kind of like it. I know I'm weird. Now, a couple of hours later, we charged our phone, we let them dry, and we de-sticked them all and pushed them off to the side. Now, I originally was just going to use the one wreath form, but I realized the eggs are a little too big. So I decided to take a small one and a large one and to stick them inside each other. Now, if you have had the opportunity to get these wreath forms, you know that they're wonky. I actually was loving the fact that it was egg-shaped because I thought we would do something for last Easter. It just didn't work out. But I want to make a nice wide wreath form. And you know what? For $2, I don't think you can find a wide one like this anywhere. Maybe you can with a coupon. I don't know. But anyway, it's already wrapped in jute. So I'm just taking jute. And I'm kind of using the jute to pull the two wreaths together to evenly space them. Now, the small one was almost completely perfectly oval. The large one had like sort of a wonky shape. So what I did was I turned the small one to the narrow parts of the wide parts of the small one went into the narrow parts of the large one and stretched it out. And then I was able to create more of a round, conducive sort of shape. But I kind of like the natural look. It's a natural wreath, so it's going to have a funky shape. Okay, and then I went just back and made adjustments and tied the string a little tighter. I kind of like trained it like you would like a new baseball glove or a new baseball hat. And now we're going to take some moss. We're going to go on a little bit on both wreaths, and then wherever there is jute going across, we're just going to glue some moss on there. And this is actually pretty easy. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name's Jeri-Ann. Sarah Jane from Chic on the Cheap suggested getting a box and cutting up all your moss and putting it in the box. I took a plastic shoebox. I went one step further, took a plastic shoebox and just have all my cut up moss in there. It's a combination of reindeer moss as well as what they call like green moss. Sometimes they just different things, but there's different kinds of varieties in there. I just keep them in the bucket. Not Spanish moss, just the green ones. Okay. Floral moss, I think that one of them was at one point. But I'm just putting a thin layer down the middle. I want the wreath to show on both sides. I want it to make it look like it's an actual giant wreath. I'm kind of covering the space that shows that it's two wreaths. That's all. And then we're going to continue to add eggs. I was gifted this double-ended spatula from the Dollar Tree from Melody Reed. Melanie, hi, I miss you. that I use to protect my fingers. She taught me, just protect your fingers, push down any glue that you're doing with this. This is my dual temp glue gun. It's from Gorilla Glue. I got it at Walmart. It was not very expensive, but it has high and low, a switch for high and low temp guns. Whenever you're doing floral work, I always use low temp. Now, shake off, shake off, shake off. That's why we use these cutting mats from the Dollar Tree. We shake them off. We put everything back right in the bucket. And then we're going to repeat because that's what happens. Okay? Now, it's time to put the eggs on. But before we put the eggs on, find the prettiest top, the nicest top, the best. But basically, I'm going to put a bow on the top, so I wanted the most symmetrical looking bottom. That's what I picked. And now I'm going to dry lay them out. I'm going to arrange them without gluing them. Don't want any two colors together necessarily. I want to mix it up. And just like the inspiration piece, the large eggs are on the outside and the smaller eggs were on the inside. But this wreath is not quite as wide as that one. So we're making it do just to make it pretty. Now also I liked the wreath, the eggs all going in the same direction, the large eggs anyway going all in the same direction with just little twists here and there. I thought that was really neat too. Now you could speckle these eggs. I will tell you the God's honest truth. If you're going to speckle these eggs, I would 100% put them on this wreath form, which is brown, with green moss, and then speckle them once they're on there already. You will save yourself a ton of headache and a ton of time. Just if you've never done speckling method before, you basically want to take a little bit of brown paint, water it down, take a old toothbrush or a stiff bristle brush, dip it in, shake it off one time. You want to do this outside or in a protected area, and then just use your thumb to flick the paint all over, and that will create that speckly effect. I think we did it on our channel once before. It's been so long, I don't even remember. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just placing here and there and here and there. I'm trying to find the prettiest side of the egg and gluing the ugly side down. There is no ugly eggs. There's just less attractive eggs. I'm weird. I know. Forgive me. So, like I mentioned, all of the eggs are going in the same direction, but some of them are getting a little twist on them. I kind of should have planned a little better with how many eggs I painted what color. But I didn't have to have 3 yellows. It wasn't my favorite color anyway. And I ended up having 2 eggs left over, so it's fine. Like I said, my original thought process was I really wanted to make these neutral, and I wanted to keep this in my kitchen all year. You know, I have chickens in my kitchen. They need to have some eggs. So what I have here is sort of like, one of them's gypsum, and the other one is a heather. And what I've done, these are from the Dollar Tree, and I've done is I've just cut the white bouquets sort of off. They're basically styrofoam stuck to the ends of like greenery, but I separated them. The ones in the middle were taller and bigger, and the other ones are bunched tighter. So I thought that the ones in the middle would go on the outsides, and the ones in the on the left will go on the insides. And I love the way it turned out. Now, I don't have the same number of small eggs as large eggs, but I remember the inspiration piece didn't either, so that was okay. So what I wanted to do is just put a little bit, like 2 bunches of white in that space where there is no small egg, which just happens to be right on the bottom. Okay, just adding a little glue. What I started out doing was doing every other space between every other large egg, just to make sure I had enough and see how it looked, and it was coming out cute, so I went ahead and I finished. Now the inspiration piece, like I said, has more white flowers, but it's also wider, so it held the 2 eggs plus plenty of flowers. But this is just, we're doing what we can from the Dollar Tree and what we already owned, right? Okay. So now I'm adding this small flowers to the inside. I really do love the way it came out. They also have a little bit different tone and also different size, so it makes it just look really nice. So I forgot to turn the camera off, so I'll do this again. Going to make a loop in the middle. Then you're going to twist your ribbon so it's dark sides out again, good side out again. Then you're going to hold it, scrunch it, pinch it there, and twist it 2 times. So then it's dark side out again. Let's do it again, second time. And then you're going to do the same thing. Try to get the loops to be the same side on both sides. Twist it 2 times. Now you're going to come and do this one here. And then you're going to twist it 2 times until it's the right side out. And then you're going to make this loop here. We want that to be about even. That's a little long. Okay, and then you're going to twist it 2 times. And you're going to make 1 tail. Okay, and then you're going to take another piece, just randomly, and make a second tail. Just put it behind, pinch it, put it behind, pinch it. Now I think this center loop is a tiny bit big for this bow, so all I'm doing is pulling it in from the beginning half, okay? Make sure I didn't pull it from the other half. Okay. Just check it out before you do anything. Okay, now I'm gonna, people take wire, people take pipe cleaners. I'm going to take a piece of jute because that's what we're connecting everything with here. Okay. I'm going to push down on this so I can have that third hand situation happening. Okay. Now we're going to find the middle, baker knot it, basically pass it through 1 time in that direction, 1 time in this direction, and then when we pull it, it works like a third hand and it won't really come undone. Okay, then we'll knot it so it really won't come undone. And now we can tie it around our wreath when we're done, when we're all finished. Okay, so let's see, let's fluff it out. As you can see, I chose to put the non-glittery side out, but you can choose whatever you want depending on what you want to use this for. Now I know this ribbon is very Easter and not so much spring, but I don't really have any spring ribbons that are 2 inches wide. Because I could have used the plaid. The plaid would have been cute, actually, now I think about it. Oh well. Okay. I just really like the colors of this, you know. You'd have to get up real close to see that it's an Easter ribbon anyway. Besides, it's got eggs. People are going to think it's an Easter wreath anyway. So there you go. I kind of was thinking that plaid would have been cute. I have that plaid, but it's okay. I wanted to just use this. Then I'm going to tie it on the back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tie it into a knot. And then I'm going to take the 2 ends and I'm going to loop, make a loop to hang it with. And that's it. I love it. We just fluffed the bow. Look how cute it is. I love it. And there is one more from the article that I want to do, but I have to make its own video. So that's it. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I'm sorry if some of you think it's too late in the season, but there's always next year. If you would really like this video, could you give it a thumbs up? It really does help out my channel. Thank you for your patience and love and kindness and support with me during this trying time. Like, subscribe, share, do all the things. And as always, you guys, take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.